Pizza, the No BS Fitness and Nutrition podcast you never knew you needed. What's up, Laura?
Not much.
Maybe you did know you needed it. That's why you're here.
How's your day going? Your morning?
It's good. I didn't know we were podcasting until 5 minutes ago, so that's cool. But yeah. I'm good on the fly, so I'm here. I've always got a podcast notes going on my computer, so I always have some things here.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah. It's just a podcast notes, and I just add to it. If I think of something, I add to it. And so there's kind of stuff always floating around. How about you? How are you doing?
Not good, Jamie. Not good.
Not good.
No. I am so sore. Again.
Are you?
Yes. Ridiculously sore.
Where are you sore? In your quads?
In my quads. My glutes are a little sore. Like not unbearably sore, but it just adds to the soreness. My hamstrings aren't sore this time. You know, last time it was all of my whole entire leg. So at least it's just the front and then my butt. But my inner thighs are more sore from those Copenhagen planks.
Those don't make me sore.
No.
Do you pump your leg?
No. But that comes later.
Hold it up
I
there.
put that in there later.
Yeah. Like, ooh, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Get ready, people who are following the pre-camp program.
Actually, it's really funny because this is where food might help me before my workout. Because I got to the end, I got to there, and the first set was really hard. And then the next set, it was like I literally couldn't like connect to my leg. It just kept falling. The lower leg, it kept falling, and I'm like, get back up there. And I literally couldn't get it back up. It just kept drooping like down throughout the entire.
I know exactly what you mean.
It just kept falling. Stop it.
So if anybody doesn't know, a Copenhagen plank is when you kind of do like an elbow plank, but instead of doing it on your front, you turn to your side and you hold yourself up on your elbow and you put your feet. You put your top leg, so you're on your side. We're doing a side plank now, right? Mm-hmm. You put your top leg on a bench and you have to, so your feet are elevated on the bench, and then your bottom leg, you have to use your muscles to basically rise it up, to hold it up there. And they're incredibly challenging for like the inner thigh. And as somebody in the group said, your Lily, her Lily was she's concerned about the way that felt. It is definitely, if you've never done it before, it is a movement that makes you go like, holy. I actually did an Instagram reel. One of those ones where the voiceovers were, but so I did that one recently on a Copenhagen plank. So yeah, they're fun, but I know exactly what you mean where the leg, it just won't go up. It just won't.
It's like, it just kept falling. And I'm like, stop it. I couldn't even control it. It was weird. Yeah.
I imagine that's like somebody too, who like, they see negative chin-ups in their program and they're like, oh, okay, so just hold it as long as I can. And they jump up and they are immediately back on the floor and they're like, what happened?
Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah, those are hard too.
Those are very hard.
That's true.
But man, when you master, definitely a good workout. Are you ready to go again?
For
tomorrow morning? Is it for
tomorrow
you?
Morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah. I did upper body today, but I'm sick now, so I felt weak during my workout. I don't know if that's messing with my recovery either. So tomorrow, it's less quad stuff, a little bit more posterior chain. There's
that first day was like,
the first day is
always going to be like this, and then the next day you're like, okay, it's more manageable.
Yeah, I always make the first workout the hardest because I always have more, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm ready definitely makes sense. At the beginning of the week, I don't want to do a hard workout on Friday. I won't feel like it. Like I'm done now. Yeah.
Yep. Hit Monday hard and then coast down from there.
Yeah.
Speaking of recovery and all of that stuff, what are you doing nutritionally? Are you tracking right now?
I just started again. I haven't been. No. Just at maintenance, like 2,000 calories. Yeah.
2,000-ish?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
That sounds good. 10K steps a day.
Yep. Yep.
Tracking at maintenance.
Sometimes I get a little less than 10. I usually somewhere between 8 and 10 is where I am.
Mm-hmm. Is your weight pretty steady right now?
Yeah, I weighed myself the other day. I was still 124.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, 124.
Yeah.
Whew.
How about you?
Cool.
What are you doing?
I'm fighting the urge to want to like eat less and go into a cut because I really want less body fat right now. I feel like my trip stateside and then how slow I was getting back into like a really consistent routine. I definitely have more body fat on me right now. It's not bad. It's fine. I'm good. But I'm fighting that urge. So I'm reminding myself my goal right now, I'm table that. I do not want to use the energy for that right now. I do not feel like tracking consistently right now. I'm really leaning into just like the basics. So 3 solid meals a day, 30 to 40 grams of protein each meal, 7 to 10 grams of fiber each meal. Snacks as I want, but whole food snacks at regular intervals, whatever, like 2 or 3. And then I'm tracking like maybe 2 days a week, just to kind of see where I am naturally, doing it at the end of the day, not doing it in the beginning of the day like planning. I'm doing it at the end of the day so I can just kind of see if my eyeballing is keeping me around maintenance, which is my general goal. And then getting my 3 lower body days in a week. So we're doing the same program, but I'm not doing the upper body workouts. I'm doing the 3 lower ones. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I'm doing Taekwondo. So basically cardio, calling it high intensity intervals 3 times a week is essentially what I'm doing. Last night, we didn't go to Taekwondo because it was my son's birthday. So just had a lot going on. But I pulled one of the like Tabata HIIT workouts from the app and I did one of those. So I was actually proud of myself for doing that. So I was like, today's supposed to be the day that I feel this way. So I'm going to make sure it happens. So I did that and that was good. So yeah, just getting those in, making sure that it's so interesting too, when I actually, cause what I had been doing, I'd been doing one of those, I think we talked about this, actually on one of the podcasts recently. I was doing one of those safe zone calorie things where I wasn't eating low enough to actually lower my body weight or body fat, but I also wasn't really fueling either. I was in that safe 1700-ish, 1800-ish calorie zone where nothing happens in either direction. And so I was like, all right, F this. I'm going to actually really try to eat closer to 2000. Like, I don't want to be under fueling. I'm doing all of this activity. I don't want to sit in this safe zone, not actually fueling my workouts and have detrimental effects because of that. So let's fuel. So I'm trying to eat closer to 2000, maybe even a little over some days. And the energy that I have, not just during my workouts, I totally have like energy for my workouts, but it's like I can feel the uptick in energy. Like right now, my legs are shaking, like bouncing, not shaking, but like I'm constantly like moving, and I'm not wanting to sit still very long. I've been putting the treadmill under the desk multiple times a day because I just need to be moving, and I can just feel this energy surge, and it's just very interesting how much different it is.
Yeah, I hear that.
Just a couple hundred calories. And it's interesting too, is that it's one of those reminders, like, this, like as a trainer, as a coach, whatever, I know this, but it's interesting to feel when you don't eat enough, your overall movement and like metabolic rate goes down, and that's normal. That's very normal and healthy, but it's interesting to actually feel that uptick in like energy and metabolic rate, and I'm walking and I'm using that energy. And so I'm curious to see, just with getting very, very, very on track with a rigid and fairly intense fitness routine, like 10K steps a day, plus 3 times a week cardio, plus 3 times a week pretty focused strength training, without tracking and just really kind of staying close to maintenance. I'm curious to see if I'll have any body composition shifts just from that process, being that I've been so off track for a while with travel and all of that stuff. And then I want to sit pretty kind of like that for a while and not focus on body composition changes until spring at the minimum. And maybe if I'm feeling really good by then, I won't even then, but I definitely don't want to do it now. So I'm resisting the urge.
I'm thinking about adding an extra HIIT workout on Saturday. Not in this week because I don't feel good. But
yeah, Yeah, but for you, you need to do the sprint interval training,
Yeah.
right?
I was thinking about it, and anytime I did HIIT, I probably didn't rest long enough in between. It wasn't probably
Mm.
true HIIT, because nobody does true HIIT like the right way. So I
Mm-hmm.
think if I do it, because sprint training is, that's just basically what that is, and that doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what bothers me is anything like that moderate intensity,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not like, because walking, I could walk forever and that's fine. But being in that like zone 2 to, I don't know, that middle area,
Mm-hmm.
any kind of like, because I did like, I was probably just doing like regular interval training or something,
Mm-hmm.
messes with me. But I think I could get away with doing like actual HIIT. I want to try it.
Yeah, and having that full like bring back to heart rate,
Mm,
rest, bring it down.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, theoretically, if you can do sprint training, but you can't do HIIT, it's kind of like what? But maybe we
Yeah.
need to make the HIIT look more like the sprint training, right?
Yeah. Take like 2-minute breaks in between instead of like a minute or whatever.
That's cool. Yeah, I was doing it more like Tabata style, but so I would do the full 20-second hard, 10-second break, but the 10 seconds is not a break. I mean, that's like an oxymoron. 10 seconds is about enough time to transition because it was like burpees to mountain climbers. So by the time I was done my burpees, just stopping to breathe and then getting down on the floor for mountain climbers was the 10 seconds and it was over.
Yeah.
But then I would take like a full 2 to 3 minutes in between cycles to recover. But also, my kids were making my son's birthday cake, and I'm very controlling. Like, and I recognize that about myself. It almost feels like I can't help it, and so watching them make a cake is the hardest thing to do. Like I'm like, I either have to walk away and I'm not looking and I just have to accept the result, or I'm in there controlling every move that you're making because you're doing it wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
just like this, and this cake it's so cute. I mean, it came out just exactly as it should have. It was great. But they were like mixing different icing colors. They had vanilla and they were like we had food dye and they had 3 different bowls going. And they're making different colors and they're squirting the things on and they're layering things, and then at the same time trying to make cake pops with like the leftover cake and icing that we had. And I'm over there like doing burpees and mountain climbers, and in between like trying to like rigidly like, okay, no, you're doing this wrong, you gotta do this way, blah, 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 and then back to my burpees. And so
Yeah.
that's what that looked like yesterday for me, just in case you were wondering. Thought you might want a
Multitasking.
visual. Totally multitasking. And then
Oh
we ended
yeah.
up missing you know me, I love all the school events. They had the open house yesterday, and I'm like literally doing all of this thinking we have to get out the door for open house in 15 minutes, and we're still finishing up this cake, and I'm finishing up this cardio, and presents aren't wrapped yet, and then we have to go right to dinner as soon as we get home from open house. And I just like the like pressure in my head was rising, and and then the doorbell rings, and there's a couple of kids in the neighborhood that want to play with my kids. And I was like, aren't you guys going to open house? They're like, no, my mom said we're not going to go because of this, that, and the other. And in my mind, I'm like, why am I? So I called my husband. I was like, can we not go to open house? And he's like, oh, thank God. And I was like, okay, great. So it was just like this pressure valve was released, like an Instapot when you push that button, and it's like, psh, that was me.
Yeah, I hate when I have too many things on my schedule. If I feel I can't handle it. I'm a baby.
A lot of time, I used to not be able to recognize when it was too much, and we'd do it. We would go through all of it, and I'm like, we are capable. But now I'm like, it's not worth the feeling.
Why? Like, why do it?
Yep, exactly.
I hit a new PR in my deadlift on Thursday, so I was able to
Again?
No, we didn't talk about this on the podcast yet. I told you.
Oh, okay. 290,
But remember,
285.
I was 285. Remember, I was going to try it again. This time it worked. I didn't try 290.
So you sent me 2 videos. The second one was your PR, and it was
Yeah.
awesome. The first one was my favorite because you, I think, cursed at the bar and kicked it.
I did.
Because it was like you went for it and it wouldn't come off the ground.
Yeah.
And you like, I think you were like, F you, but like the full word. And you and then you left, and then you came back into the camera view and like kicked the bar. So it was like, it wasn't like you cursed it and then kicked it. Like you walked away, thought about it, and then came back to kick the bar. That was awesome. I was
mad because that was my like second time or third time
Trying it? Really? Yeah. And you got it on like the 4th?
Yeah.
Dang. I am amazed that you didn't like run out all your energy stores.
I probably did. I mean, not all of them, but I was dead after that. So
wow.
But I was determined. I'm like, I'm getting this because it was close. I could feel it coming up. It
yeah.
wasn't that feeling where my limbs are disconnecting from my body. So it wasn't that. It was just mustering all that strength to get it up.
Totally, man. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Amazing.
I'm taking a break for a while.
From deadlifts or from pushing that weight?
Pushing that weight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deadlifts are still in the program. I'm doing them tomorrow, but
yeah,
not like that.
Yeah, not like that.
Unnecessary to do all the time.
Yeah. That actually brings up a good point. I was talking to a client the other day who was talking about, she was like, I feel, this is a client that's made like a lot of rapid strength gains in like all of her major lifts up until now. And she made a comment, she was, I think, PO'd that the squat in particular felt heavier than, or no, maybe it was the deadlift, felt heavier than she wanted it to feel. And she made a comment of, I feel like I'm at the point with strength training and strength gains that like it's really slowing down. I can't always like, but the strength gains in particular are very few and far between. And I don't know if she was necessarily frustrated at it, but it was like a good topic of conversation because like, yeah, that definitely happens. And it can feel frustrating when you have been continuously kind of making progress and then you just get to a point where it is so slow, and how do you continue to see that strength progress? Yeah. And so what do you think about that?
Is it the same person that asked it in the group that I answered? I don't know. I wonder. I told her that it does suck that it slows down, but the awesome part about it is every time you make a new PR, it's exciting because you're not, desensitized to that. Whereas when you normally get one every, if you're expecting to get one every workout or every week and then you don't, it's more disappointing. Whereas if that's not going to happen and they become further apart, it's more exciting. Like hitting 285 was very exciting because that doesn't happen very often. Once I get to 290, I'm going to be excited again because it's not going to be in a week,
Yeah. Yeah. It also, one of the things we were talking about too, is that you're right. Like it's more exciting. It's a little bit more rewarding when you space them out like that, but also it does kind of, you stop being at the point where you can expect to be hitting PRs, even if they're spaced out in like every lift. So we're not going to be like aiming for PRs in a deadlift and a squat and a bench and be able to like max out our pull-ups in one training block or even in 2 training blocks. You really have to start kind of whittling down, like, what do I really want to focus on? And just because you're focusing on something in particular, like for example, I'm obviously focusing on cardiovascular right now. I'm focusing on quad growth, so hypertrophy in the lower body. And even though I would love to see some heavy deadlift numbers again, that doesn't mean that my overall strength, like that I'm losing. Just because I'm not hitting new PRs doesn't mean that I'm losing strength either. Like you can lift a certain amount for a certain, amount of reps and a certain volume throughout the week and still be able to maintain and get back up to those numbers pretty quickly. Yeah. But it's just not necessarily my focus.
Yeah, I mean, that's more when you get advanced and beyond. I think at intermediate, you're still able to add stuff to all of them. Like when you think about when we did our power building program, I added a ton of weight to all of them, except the bench.
Right.
The bench was only like 5 pounds.
But it definitely gets smaller and smaller the further you go along.
Yeah. Now I'm more focused on, like, I was just focusing mostly on deadlift. I was still doing like squat and bench, but I didn't expect to hit PRs on them. I wasn't trying. I was focusing on the deadlift.
That's cool.
What is your favorite exercise to perform?
My favorite exercise to perform. Is it the same as my favorite exercise to do, or just my favorite exercise? Or is to perform a specific like?
To do and perform mean the same thing.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like the way Wait, like I feel like if you texted me to ask me that question, you wouldn't have been like, what's your favorite exercise to perform? Like you would have been like, what's your favorite lift?
Because okay, what's your favorite? Because it could mean what's your favorite overall, like it has this benefit and this and that, where it's actually like what's your favorite one to actually do in lift.
To actually do.
Yeah, like you see it in your program and you're excited to do it. So that's why I said perform, because it would be different than what do you like, what's the best, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's I guess that's what I was getting at. What is yours?
Mine is still deadlift, even though
I was gonna wonder that. Well, I was already
still deadlift, even though it's so freaking heavy. It's still my favorite. I still get excited when I see it.
Yeah. It's funny because I currently am only medium excited when I see deadlifts.
I know it used to be your favorite.
And it still technically is. Like if you were to say what's your favorite exercise, right? Not to perform.
Yeah.
I'd still say deadlifts. I mean, the title podcast, Deadlifts and Pizza, for a reason. I do love deadlifts. They're not necessarily my favorite to perform right now. I don't know why this exercise is popping in my head, but it's there. And it's one that I think is gonna like knock the socks off all the people listening, is a Bulgarian split squat.
I don't think that's accurate.
I act like you think I'm wrong, or you disagree with me.
I think you're lying. There's no way.
You are wrong. I do not think you enjoy performing those. I have been, and I'm thinking of Bulgarian split squat, but in general, I have been actually enjoying exercises where I'm still getting a lot of pump and work without having to have so much actual weight. So obviously, if I were to do a regular squat, which is also knee dominant squat pattern exercise, I would have to load up the bar a lot, and there's just a lot of weight on the bar in order to go into that squat to have it be challenging. Whereas when I'm doing like a single leg variation, I don't have to load the bar up as much because I'm only working one leg. And I've been liking that feeling of not having so much weight on my body right now.
I get that.
And so I've been enjoying kind of like the single leg stuff a little bit more. And you know what I really enjoyed in this program is the hack squat variation.
Yeah. Which one
with
did
the
you do?
landmine bar?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was genius, by the way, because I like hack squats a lot, and I just always thought of it as something that I couldn't do if I wasn't in the gym. But that variation was actually a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it.
I like that too. I like so deadlifts ultimately is my favorite, but I do like exercises like that where I haven't done them very much, so I don't have to do a lot of weight yet. I can still progress at it. I can still get stronger, and I don't feel like I'm dying. So that one's fun. Yeah. I have to like wrap a towel around my bar though, because it's a little.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel great. I'm almost like kind of pushing up on it a little to keep it off like my shoulder.
Yeah.
But what weight did you put on the bar for that?
I don't remember.
I did a 35.
35?
Yeah. But I was just playing around with it. I mean, it felt challenging, especially after those squats. Like, holy mother. But I think I could do more. So every week I think I'll creep.
I think I only did 30, but it was supposed to be RPE of 7. I went light. I knew last time my
tend
quads.
to ignore those.
Yeah, I knew last time my quads were, in trouble. So I didn't want to do the same thing, even though I did anyway. So yeah. But that gives me room.
Enjoying that.
I like to start down here and move up the entire program and keep progressing. So
that is a very smart way to do it. I tend to just go, you got this, Jamie, give it all you got, everything.
No, I don't do that. I don't start out the gate, lifting as heavy as I can.
Well, this is technically week 2 for me because I did a trial week last week to test it out and all of that stuff. So technically this is my week 2. So I'll give myself that. But you know what exercise I usually really enjoy, and now when I see it in there, I just am like cursing at everything. And it's the same reason, honestly. It's a pull-up, because pull-ups just feel very hard right now. And when I see them in my program, oh my God, it's just so much work.
And normally an exercise like a pull-up, I don't hate because there's not a lot of setup. I just go to the bar and whatever. Whereas like, a hip thrust is a pain in the butt. So normally I see a pull-up, I'm like, okay,
literally.
Cool. Yeah, literally. But I agree. The pull-ups are so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like such a loser when I'm doing them. I expect to be able to do more, and I can't.
So much effort required to get up
They
there,
are.
and yeah, it's a lot.
Come on, lats. Come on.
Do something.
Do something. All right, I have two. Go ahead.
I'm trying to grease the groove a little bit with those lately. Yeah. I'm trying to take the pressure off when I see them in a workout. I'm already working really hard, and then I have to do a certain number of them. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, Jamie, just chill. Just do like chunks of 2 throughout your day, every day. And it won't be so bad every time you go to do it, but you'll still be getting better and stronger at them.
Today I did the weighted ones and actual pull-ups. And I added 10 pounds to myself. And I was only able to do 2. And that was it.
Yeah.
And I was hard. I'm sick though. So I'm like, is that why? Because all of my exercises suck today. So it could be that.
Definitely has something to do with it. And I weigh like 10 pounds more than you. So I am stronger than you already because of that. I'm already lifting with 10 extra pounds. But yeah, I think the most weighted I've ever done is 15 pounds hanging from me on pull-ups. But I want to get back to those as well.
Yeah. All right. What are some of your least favorite exercises to perform, but you do them because you know they're effective?
I feel like I just answered that. Do you have an answer for this?
Bulgarian split squats.
And
squats and regular back squats. I freaking hate those. I don't like back squats. Really? I'm not a fan of them. I do them.
I don't think I do that.
They're always in my program. I dread them every single time. I hate them. They're just so freaking heavy. All this weight on my back. I don't like doing that in this program. The heels elevated. My quads were singing after I was done.
Or screaming.
Yeah. 15 reps. F that. Like, what is wrong with who created this program?
Some idiot.
Someone should talk to her.
Seriously. I can't think of one. So exercise I hate doing, but I do it anyway because I know it's important. I can't think of one. No, because if I really truly hate it, then I think of a different variation. So I don't have to do it. I tend not to force myself to do things I don't like.
I do it anyway. But I just won't do it well. The squats I always have in my program, so I do them every time. But like Bulgarian split squats, I don't always have those in there.
Yeah.
But I will do them periodically because I just know that they're awesome for you.
Yeah, I literally can't think of one. TBD. If I think of one, I'll come back to it.
All right. I guess that's my last question because the next one is probably, maybe you have an answer. What's an exercise you never perform because you hate it so much? Or it's just dumb or not very effective. So other people might do it, but you're like, that's stupid. I'm not doing that.
Anything on a Bosu ball.
Yeah.
Anything on a Bosu.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so hard because my best friend has a Bosu and she got it a few years ago and she was so excited. And she was like, look what my husband got me for, I don't know, whatever holiday it was. And I was like, oh, she's texting me thinking I'm going to be so excited. And I was like, oh, what a worthless piece of junk. I didn't say that. But then she's like, can you tell me exercise to do on it? And I was like, you could just let it sit next to you and then do all of these exercises that are really, really great. And then on your rest period, sit on it and watch a little TV and scroll. And she's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, any exercise you would do on the Bosu, you will get more benefit out of doing it on the ground. Yeah. I was like, literally almost anything that you would want to do on the Bosu will hinder your progress because it's on a Bosu.
Yeah.
And it's still, and now years later, we still joke about it. She's like, I still have my Bosu and I'm like, good, go Google Bosu exercises and don't ask me for help. I'm the worst.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't have a Bosu ball and I never will have a Bosu ball.
Yeah. Why? Let's talk about that. Why is it, but why are we saying that? Why are we saying that any exercise would be more effective on the ground?
Because you're so busy trying to balance, you can't focus on what you're actually doing. And like if you're going to do any exercise, you know, you don't want to be worrying about balancing while you're performing it, because that muscle is not going to be hit very hard.
Right. If you think about doing, I don't know, I'm just going to use something extreme like a squat on a Bosu ball. People stand on the Bosu balls and do squats. You can't load the squat up because you're
No.
on an unstable surface. So therefore, you're not getting an effective tension for your muscle to get stronger or bigger. Neither one is going to happen. So then the person will say, well, so then the argument is, okay, yeah, but that's not the reason I'm doing it on the Bosu. I'm doing it on the Bosu to help balance and to help stability and to light up all those stabilizer muscles, right?
Then
Which is also, go ahead.
And then do like a single leg something, something, I don't know, do something else.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about like balance and stability is that like just including an unstable element, like maybe for rehab or like very specific scenarios, but for general balance and stability, the best way to improve balance and stability is to do it in a way that translates to your real life. Like focus on balance and stability on a flat surface, because that is what the majority of the time that you're, so like you said, like if somebody has so many issues balancing and stabilizing that they need to be on a Bosu, like it just doesn't translate.
No, it's just like strength.
Do a Bulgarian split squat and focus on not having to hold on to the wall when you're going down in the Bulgarian split squat. Like that is the best thing you could do, not doing a squat on an unstable surface.
Yeah, or a single leg deadlift or toe touch or something like that.
Yep. There's so many other exercises that you could do that you could focus on your balance and proving balance and stability so much better than you would on a Bosu anyway, because it translates to real life. But also you'd be able to load it up because you're on a stable surface, and you'd be able to get the hypertrophy benefits, strength benefits, and everything else from that as well.
Have you ever done like hip airplanes? Those are always so hard. Mm-hmm. Just fall over.
I don't.
Those. Good. I don't have good balance. Need to practice those some more. Do you do both ways?
Yeah.
Twist both ways?
Can you do, the yoga pose where it's like sitting chair where you put your ankle over top of your knee and you sink down? Mm-hmm. Can you do that? Can you stand there with that pose? I can do that. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Good questions.
Yeah. Random. Thought of them 2 minutes before we started.
I love it. We're both on the ball today. I have a couple questions here. Mm-hmm. First one is, and I love this one because I see people ask this one all the time. Should I lift or do cardio if I really need to lose about 30 pounds? I want to lift, but I feel like I should focus on losing weight first. Get our thoughts for that one?
I mean, you can do both, but I would prioritize the lifting. I wouldn't really use cardio for losing weight. It's just not very effective overall. When when you look at like studies of people doing cardio and adding it in, it doesn't really focusing on your diet is going to make a bigger difference for losing weight than cardio is. So I would focus on that instead and add the lifting in. Plus the lifting is going to help you lose fat and build muscle and give you that, recomposition instead of just focusing on losing weight. So you're going to look better overall.
That's what right. Exactly. Just the way that this question is phrased, and I usually see it phrased very similarly to this or asked very similarly to this, is the idea of like, I really want to lift, but I feel like I should focus on losing weight first. Yeah. Like is kind of very like oxymoronic, but also shows like the way that people view like fitness and nutrition. Yeah. Like it's like saying, I really want to eat, but I feel like I should focus. I really want to eat mac and cheese, but I feel like I should focus on quenching my thirst first or something. And I'm like, but those are like, you could do them at the same time. You can like have a drink while you're eating mac and cheese. Like they're not actually, yeah. I don't know. Like that's the way, like they're not actually as intertwined as you think they are. You can focus on losing weight and you can also lift. So like those two things can happen at the same time.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that when you said that. Like I think I should focus on losing weight first. I think a lot of people think that you can't do two
Exactly.
things at one time, but they
Because they
actually,
automatically assume that losing weight equals doing cardio.
yeah, and weightlifting and losing weight actually complement each other. You should do them at the same time.
Right. Yeah, because lifting is going to improve your metabolic rate, especially from somebody like this that you can tell that they either don't lift or they haven't very often, but they're definitely like in the beginner phase.
Yeah.
This is somebody who's going to get a lot of benefit early on from adding in like resistance training and strength training. They're going to get a boost in their metabolic rate. They're going to get like a lot of probably body composition changes without much scale weight, which is actually my favorite when somebody starts lifting. And the scale is not budging and they feel frustrated. And then they look at their pictures, they look at their measurements, and they realize they actually have lost inches, and they realize that like the weight on the scale, like whatever, you intake all of that, the weight on the scale doesn't tell the whole story, all this stuff. So this is somebody who could really benefit from all of those like newbie situations. So she could spend 3 months focusing on lifting and improving her diet, eating mostly whole foods, not even necessarily tracking. She could not lose a single pound. But this is somebody who in a month or 2 months or 3 months of feeling frustrated because the weight's not going down, then look at the pictures and see she's lost like 2 inches around her waist.
Yeah.
And then realize that maybe 30 pounds could shift a little bit. Maybe it's not as rigid as 30 pounds, or maybe, you know.
Yeah. That first year of lifting is the best time. That's when you fall in love with it if you do it right and you aren't focused on losing a ton of weight. Like that first.
Because you had that experience. You had that pretty much happen.
Yeah, that first year I focused on eating more food. I was eating, I don't know, before that because I just had a baby. So, but then like my weight loss stalled after a while, and I was, you know, much larger than I was before having kids. And you know, I don't remember how much I was eating. I know before I had kids, I had to eat like 1,400-ish calories, 12 to 1,400 calories. And I decided to I hated that I couldn't eat a lot of food. Like I love food, and I hated that I was like always having to eat those low calories. So I started focusing on just building muscle. I didn't even try to lose weight. I just wanted to build muscle and speed up my metabolism. So I did that for like a year, and I ended up losing 10 pounds by doing that. But I looked like a totally different person. It looked like I lost more than 10 pounds because I obviously recomped because I built muscle and lost fat at the same time.
Yep, exactly. So like this person in particular, that's somebody like just the way they phrase that question, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I would love to work with you because you would be the type of person that would see so much awesome stuff in those first few months.
And you have to have that mindset going into it too. Like you have to know like this is going to be slow. You're not going to see a lot of results at first, but it will happen.
You say not a lot of results. It's not necessarily results. You won't necessarily see the result you think you want going in right away. There'll be tons of other results, right? That happen
that's
because
true.
of implementing it.
Yeah, that's true. My sleep
But you might not see the scale go down.
Yeah. Sleep was better. I felt better. I didn't hurt when I woke up in the morning.
Yeah. You're more energetic. Yeah. You feel stronger. You can eat more.
My mobility.
Yep. So many benefits. And the other thing about this too is just that general idea of people tying aesthetic, or no, I shouldn't say aesthetic, but like weight loss to exercise, or thinking about exercising in order to achieve weight loss. Yes, exercise can help. It definitely helps with weight loss and body fat loss and all of that stuff. They're definitely linked. I don't want to make it sound like they're not. But the problem people run into is attacking weight loss goals by focusing on like what exercise they're going to choose because they think it's going to be the one that helps them most with weight loss. It's just like you said, if you want to see weight loss or fat loss, you have to adjust your diet. And people see the best results in terms of exercise and body composition link. People see the best results when they don't focus on the body composition that the exercise will help with, and they focus on the exercise as a means to get better, faster, stronger. So you attack your exercise with joy because it's something you enjoy doing, and you attack it with like a goal and trying to get better instead of trying to just purely improve your body composition. You will see better body composition results by having that mindset with exercise.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Cool. Good one. Another one. This one is, I know I need to focus on cardio more, but I don't want to stop lifting. This is similar but different. Right now, I'm so off track with everything, and I always do this. I do really well for a while, I reach my mini goal, and then I get totally off track. What should I do? So this is somebody who currently is off track with kind of everything. They're eating well, they're exercising sporadically, but whenever they are exercising, they're lifting, because that's the thing that this person likes to do. They know they need to focus on cardio more, but they're kind of off track everywhere. But this point at the end where they say, I always do this. I do really well for a while. I reach whatever goal I have, this mini goal, and then I get off track. So whatever goal they have is like, all right, I'm going to get on track and I'm going to feel better going into XYZ. I'm going to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, improve my body composition, whatever. They do that. They achieve that. They work really hard to get there, maybe a few months, 6 months, whatever. And then they get totally off track and life derails them. And then they want to get all the way back on track again and feel better. So they're wondering what they should do.
I would say don't do everything all at once and just focus on a couple of things, because if you try to do everything, that's when you fall off track. Focus on just a couple of things and try to, so if I would say lifting is the thing that you should focus on a little bit more than cardio. So make sure that you are lifting at least, 3 times a week or something, and get that back, get in the habit of doing that. But don't worry about the cardio right now. Don't focus on that, because if you focus on that, then you're going to feel like you're failing, even though you're not failing when you're doing 3 workouts a week. So give yourself like little mini goals like that to hit. Getting back on track. I just feel like sometimes my answer is like, you just have to do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Stop whining and complaining about it.
That's normally my advice. Like, it sucks. Just do it. Like, if you know,
yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. You're gonna fall off, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your advice?
I mean, to your point, 100% about doing too much. Like, I would much rather, and this is somebody who's like intermediate, like pretty much knows what they do. They have when they are on it, they know what they're doing. But I would much rather see anybody lifting or doing exercise or whatever it is, whatever your routine is with exercise, 2 to 3 days a week, but you are literally doing that for years on end every week, except for certain scenarios, traveling, something happens. But for the most part, this is your routine. I would much rather see you 2 to 3 days a week, and that's it, every week for years, than have sporadic 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time where you're going 4 and 5 days a week and tracking everything. And then you're having 4, 5, 6 months at a time where you're completely off and doing nothing. Yeah. Like, I would much rather see that really rigid consistency. And even when there's weeks or months where you have the capacity to do more, you actually don't put that on yourself, and you invest in other things that you might be interested in, relaxation time, family time, maybe some extra cardiovascular, but for fun. Like, I have extra time in my week for this next few months. I'm going to go for a bike ride, but not necessarily packing your schedule with fitness, especially if you know that you typically do this. Like, really prove to yourself that you can stick to this routine, like, long term. I would much rather see somebody do that because of this exact reason, because we put too much on ourselves, and you can do it, but you run out of energy, you run out of ability to continue to prioritize that amount of activity.
Yeah.
And so what I usually say to people and this kind of goes for like getting back on track too, is literally get out your calendar. And I don't mean like, when I say look at your calendar, I don't mean like look in your head and there's 7 days a week, so pick some days. No, literally look at your calendar and decide which days you can realistically dedicate to. Imagine that you just signed up for like a therapist, or you just signed up for a class, or you just hired somebody for something, and they're saying, when can you meet? You would have to look at your calendar and make sure that you're available to meet with that person. You wouldn't just be like, oh, how about Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, for like an hour. Like, no, you would actually look and be like, well, I actually can't meet on Fridays because I have meetings. Look at your calendar and decide when can you realistically do it, and then literally physically mark it off. Draw a line through that time slot. This is my time to work out. This is my time for exercise. And whether that's 2 days a week or 4 days a week, be really, really realistic about how much time you're willing to dedicate. And then go back and look at those time slots and figure out what you're going to do with that time. So if it's 3 days a week, I don't know. I'm shifting a little bit. I actually think that if you had 3-hour long time frames to dedicate to exercise, I would choose, well, it depends. It depends on if you're getting a lot of movement in your day. So if it's somebody that's already getting like 8 to 12,000 steps a day because they're naturally kind of getting that in, then maybe I would say, I'd be curious to see if you agree with me on this, 3 strength training workouts. But if it's somebody who's not getting as much steps in, or even if it is somebody who's fairly active, I might say either 2 days strength training and 1 cardio focused, or maybe not, because I don't know about a whole hour dedicated to cardio. Maybe like 30 minutes of strength training and maybe here we go. 2 of the days would be full body strength training routines. And one of the days, maybe the one in the middle, would start with like some heavy strength work. So maybe we're doing deadlifts and squats that day or bench or whatever. Probably deadlifts would be good on this day. And then followed by like a cardio session, like a 30-minute actual high heart rate cardio session. I think that's probably what I would say, especially for somebody who wants to focus on their cardiovascular a little bit more and the VO2 max and all that good stuff. What do you think of that?
You talk a lot, so I had so many thoughts as you were talking. You like don't take a breath.
Just keep. It's a podcast, Laura.
It's like I'm like waiting. Like all my thoughts are gonna be gone.
No,
I was going to say, as you were answering the question, I was thinking like this is also. I had a hard time answering the question because if this was a client, this would be one of those things where I would dig deeper and try to figure out why this is happening, and then I could give you a little bit better advice on it. Because everybody has different reasons why they fall off or whatever. About the lifting and the cardio, it depends on what her goals are too. Depends on what her goals are, what she likes to do. It would all depend on preferences. I would say at least lift 2 times a week. The third one could be cardio, could be lifting, depending on what, like, does she have a lot of weight to lose? Is she just doing it for health? That kind of stuff. Yeah,
I definitely think I agree with you. The 2 days a week minimum lifting, like that doesn't shift. If we have more than 2 days a week, then we can start looking at it a little bit more like, okay, how do we want to structure the rest of it based on, like you said, preference and goals?
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Awesome. But it's in terms of like getting off track and being on track, you're doing too much every time you get on track. I would say that's probably the key.
I have a feeling
whenever you do get on track, you do too much.
Yeah.
And so you're not able to stick with it long term. And so you're not able to, and I almost don't care if you reach your mini goal or whatever. So if this is somebody that's like, all right, I'm going to get back on track. I'm going to lose 10 pounds or 5 pounds or whatever it is. And I'm going to, feel better. And I'm going to do all these things in order to get there. That's awesome. But I'd almost rather you not lose the 5 pounds. I'd almost rather you lose 2.5 because you did half as much, but you were able to sustain that longer. So instead of losing 5 and then gaining 10, we lose 2.5 and then we lose another 2.5. And then maybe we maintain that. So now instead of losing 5 and gaining 10, we've lost 5 over a longer period of time and we've maintained it throughout the year. I'd much rather see that happen.
And I think it also helps to do things like we were saying in little increments. So once you get used to strength training 2 times a week, whatever it is, that becomes part of your routine once you do it long enough. Like I can't not work out now. It's just part of my routine. So once you get to there,
and you can't work out with food in your stomach either.
No,
it's so part of your routine.
That's true. And once you get that down, then that's when you start adding the other stuff in. You got to do it in baby steps.
Yep. You got to prove to yourself that you can do that really, really consistently first. And one of the things that I'll hear from people who, because I'll do that calendar thing, get out a calendar, mark it in your calendar when you can do certain things. And I have a real life example that's disconnected, more like a real life analogy. Our kids are doing Spanish tutoring right now. And when I was working with the Spanish tutor about coming up with a schedule, we had to look at our calendars and say, where is the slot where I could realistically drive you over there, drop them off for an hour, bring them back, and not have it be stressful and everybody, because we have too many activities that day or whatever. It wasn't just like, yeah, sure, Tuesday, Thursdays, that's Taekwondo day, we can do it then. Like, no, that's going to be too much. And so looked at the calendar, we picked 2 days, Monday and Wednesday from this time to this time. And if something comes up, you have something bookmarked that you can then move. So it's not, so a lot of people will say, well, sometimes I have this going on, or sometimes I have these early meetings. So normally I can do it in the morning, but then, every other week I'll have these random morning meetings that I have to get to work earlier. Okay. Does that mean we don't start this routine because you are worried that sometimes you're going to have these morning meetings? Like, well, then if you planned Wednesday from 6 to 7 a.m. is when you can work out, and a morning meeting comes up on Wednesday from 6 to 7 a.m., then you slide, like if you're using Google Calendar, you literally take your workout appointment and slide it to the next morning. Like you move it then. And that's what we just did with Spain. The Spanish teacher messaged me last night, not gonna be able to meet on Wednesday. Can we move it? Yeah, she had something come up. We slid it to Friday. This week's gonna look a little bit different, but we'll back on track next week. But you're keeping that kind of routine. And because it's only 2 days a week, Spanish, it's a little easier to shift. And if we miss one, no big deal. If you're only doing 2 or 3 workouts a week, then you can shift them when morning meeting comes up. When an afternoon meeting comes up, you shift it to a different day. If you miss one, no big deal, but you have something to shift. If you don't have anything in your calendar to shift, then you're constantly going to be, oh, this week was a wash because I had too many, this going on, that going on. Well, you didn't have anything set in the first place that you then were able to shift and move. And so the reality, it comes down to you're not prioritizing it. It's not a priority to you. And if it's not a priority, you're not going to be able to make it a habit. If you don't make it a habit, you're not going to be able to stay consistent with it. And so you're going to keep doing this. Mm-hmm. If you are listening and you enjoyed this, please give us a 5-star review. We would really appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube or any of that stuff, like, follow, subscribe. It means the world to us. See you next week.